Hello and welcome back, and hopefully welcome back to the start of spring. It just feels like it today, and I've started off with this backdrop, all these hellebores out. It really does boost the spirits, and at the moment they are buzzing away with all the bees in there. Right, so I've got my chart, and these are all the seeds that I could actually sow that I've got in March. It just puts spring in your step when you see these and you see how much you can actually start sowing. This is the first time I've actually got excited about growing this year. Right, so I did want to do it here. It's just not quite comfortable sitting on this. So let's take it into the greenhouse. Right, it's nice to start looking through the lists and seeing how much you can actually sow. Like I said, these are all the seeds that I'm actually planning to sow in March, and there's a lot, and it brings a smile to your face, especially now when the sunshine has just come out as well. So I've got a whole list. I've got my generic one. If you've seen videos before, there's a generic one which basically the only things that you can't sow at the moment is beans and purple sprouts and broccoli. There's just so much that you can do. The one thing I will say is temperature for germination. We've had such a cold and dismal time of it. You may need some heat to germinate some of these seeds. So starting off with beetroot, and that is one of our favourites to grow. The ones I can pronounce is Coriander, Bolt Hardy and Golden Detroit. Now the two that I can't pronounce, they're on the bottom of the screen now. So what I normally do is I normally sow them in the container wise. And I struggled last year. I ended up having to put or transplant quite a few different varieties together just to get a good multi-sowing. Now what I have done is I've changed my potting mix, and I've got a real lovely potting mix now, and that's worked so far with the onions and various other seeds of sowing. So this time I'm going to do them in a 9cm pot, probably about 8 seeds, because like I said, I got some real poor germination, and yeah, I don't want to miss out. Last year I kept on having to re-sow. They just weren't coming up, you know. They take 2 or 3 weeks and then you suddenly realise they're not going to germinate. So this year I've learned my lesson. I'm going to over-sow those. Then next we got Brussels, and I'm really looking forward to these. Last year again I was humming and hawing because they take up a lot of space, but we're only just finishing off the what are we, the Bridget, no, the Brendan. We're just finishing off the Brendan Brussels now. So I've got 2 varieties, Bridget, which is an early variety, and Brendan. Now Bridget really performed early on, just before Christmas, and they just snapped off, and that was a real pleasure that was to have them over Christmas. And then the next one, where we're coming down, broccolis. Now the broccolis, I'll go through my system, is I'm only going to do broccoli leaf, which is a non-head broccoli. It's just all about the leaves. And what I've done with the rest of my broccolis and brassicas, which I'm not sowing, is I'm going to broadly sow those in, or heavily sow those at some of the edge of the beds, just for the leaves. So coming down further, that covers also the green acre cabbage, red acre cabbage, and then also the cauliflower all year. So another one that I could sow, but I'm not going to this year. I'm going to try and work out, because I haven't actually planned the beds down here, what I'm going to do with the carrots. And I've just been out and bought a couple of new different packs, but I've still got some old packs of the Amsterdam Forcing and Early Nance, which are both early varieties which you can start sowing in March. Chard, I haven't done chard. Oh, I don't need to do chard, do I? I've already got it. Okay. Right, so next up is celery. Now I've got cutting celery. It's a small variety, very thin stalks, But we've got 2 plants outside that are probably going to bolt around about May time. So I want to get another lot going. They'll be sowing quite heavily again in 9cm pots. Now I had a meet up with Jane and from Jane's Growing Garden and the Farmyard Gardener, Clare. Now I've got quite a few different seeds and also some ochre as well from Clare. Now I've got what we got from Jane. I think this one was from Jane, was the giant red celery. So I'm also going to give that a go. That's not on my list. None of these are on my list at the moment. We've got climbing bean, lettuce, outrageous, uchikuri, that's pronounced wrong, isn't it? And blue banana. And Claire's thankfully is holding on to some potatoes for me. And we're going to do another meet-up for that. So I just wanted to say thank you to both Jane and Claire for the seeds. And we had like a lovely time. And also thank you for the coffee. It's my turn next time. So yeah. Right, back to this list. Chard. Well, I've got plenty of the golden chard. Is it golden? Yeah, I've got plenty of the sunset chard ready to go out. Now that's been in here all winter and I'm hoping it's not going to bolt. But if it does, I've still got quite a long time to sow more. We've got from March right the way through to June. And then we go on to cucumbers, which I just buy the plants in. And we're just going to grow them in here. That's the first time I've grown them inside, so I'm looking forward to that. The next one is Chinese cabbage. Now that is out of season. I think it's supposed to start it in April. Where are we? After April. What I do, I use that as the slug deterrent, or what I feed the slugs with. It's like a catnip to them, so if I do quite a few sowings of that, that will protect the rest of the plants, and that worked really well last year for me. And then we come to coriander, the herbs. We've got basil down here, but with basil I just do the shop bought and I just split that up, which again the short will be down in the description if you want to see that. So yeah, coriander. Now I've got cruiser and leisure. I've also got this big bag of saved seed, and we really enjoyed the coriander last year, not just for the leaves but also the flowers were really pretty. You got this real bush version of the flowers, and then you got the seeds. Now the green seeds were really good for us in the salads and salsas because they're like a zesty pop when you have them, and then you end up with a whole load of new seed to sow next year. So what I'm going to do with those is again 9cm pots, start them off in here and then slowly move them out but keep them in the 9cm pots. I may pot some of them up into some of the beds, but as soon as they bolt I'm going to start then planting those or replanting those into the garden beds, so we can then get a whole load of flowers, because they lasted for around about a month, maybe even more. So I'll document that more this year. So back to the kohlrabis. So I've got 2 versions. I've got a new version, this blue kohlrabi, Azora, I think. Azora, maybe, again, down below, if I pronounced that wrong. And the giant. So the giant I'm not going to do just yet. You can do, but that was just so big that it took over beds. And that's going to be a fill-in one for later in the season for me. But I am going to heavily try this kohlrabi with quite a lot of radishes. I'm going to dedicate a whole bed for this, just so I can try it as a fermentation, both the radishes and the kohlrabi. So that's a definite, that one is. Looking forward to that one as well. I'm looking forward to loads of these. And then we've got leeks. Again, I've gone out and bought new seeds. So we got the hardy leek and the autumn leek, which is a new variety for me to try. Apparently it really fattens up later in the autumn. So those two, I was going to start those off. probably about mid-March. At the moment my tomatoes are on the heat, so once they've germinated and been potted on, I'm going to put those on the heat then as well. And then we're on to lettuces. I've got a lot of different lettuces, as well as that new variety, what was it? Outrageous. So we've got Elf's Ear, Little Gem, Grenoble Red and the Valdor. Now, in the last one, last seeds to sow in February, I said I was going to sow some then, but I just haven't got round to it. So hopefully this time. Right, well, next up is mustards, Lime Streak and Southern Giant and the Wasabina. Now that's the Southern Giant and that's the Wasabina. Both nice fiery leaves. That's like a lettuce and that's like a fiery rocket. So I've got plenty of those plants, and I've also got the Oscar, but that's more of a September sowing. So they all desperately need to go out, and this Wasabina looks like it's going to bolt, but I don't mind that because I can also have the pods then as well. Oops, made a right mess, haven't I? Right, onions, and I've had a real mixed bag with onions. What have we got? The White Star has done brilliant. What I'm going to do with that is to start putting that on in clumps, because that's just a salad onion. What I will do is I will do another sowing of the White Star, just so I've got more succession of that. But then coming on to the what is that, the Red Flow, I've just, that's just been a failure. It was old seed, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some new seed, some fresh seed, and that's okay. It's a bit late for me to start sowing this, but with what we got, right the way up to April, so I've still got time to buy the seed and put them out. So fingers crossed I'll just get a later sowing for those. But it's not the end of the world. I've got plenty with the Sensu onions to go out. That's the set, and that's the sown from seed. And they're not too far off each other, are they, at the moment? So yeah, I've got plenty to go out with those, and same with the Bedfordshire as well. But then spring onions, I never have any luck with spring onions. Go and give them a go again, just to try and get a good sowing of them, or good germination of them. I'm going to heavily sow those because these are now old seeds. It says sow by March 24 and that's December 25. So fingers crossed with those. And then we're on to parsnips. Now I've looked around, I just didn't know which ones to get. I've done the True, Tender and True and the Gladiator before. I eventually went and got new seed for the Tender and True. Now I will sow that directly if the weather's good. So what I'm going to do is look for a week where we've got warm weather, and halfway through that week I may start prepping the beds. Before it I'll have a fleece down on the bed just to warm it up, and then as soon as I've sown these I'll actually have the fleece down on the bed just to keep them protected, because you just don't know what the weather's going to be, whether it's going to be cold or warm. This is nice today just to have this sunshine, but I can guarantee tomorrow it's just going to be rainy and cold again. Right, and now we come to peas, and there's so many varieties you can start sowing in March now. Certainly going to do the Beetroot. I've held off doing those. I'm going to do quite a bit of a sowing of those. I've got quite a few safe seeds as well for those, and they're one of the ones that I've been giving away as well. So I'm going to do one probably mid-March, and that'll be soaking in the wet paper towel method, and then probably the start of April, and I may even do one, no, mid-April. I'm going to do them a month apart each one because the plants last for about a month when you're harvesting them. And then we've got Felton's First Early. They're going to go into one of the pots. I've got Sweet Horizon minus 2. Not many seeds with those, and they are very old. What are they? Packed March 21, so they're probably well out of date. So I'm going to again use the wet paper towel. If they do come up, great. If they don't, what I'll do is I've got Luska, Sugar Snap, and I've also got Nairobi Sugar Snap, and the Province, and I've also, what else have I got on the peas? Coriander as well. So I'm going to mix and match. I'm going to do a half of something and then do a later sowing of the other half in one of the beds. We really enjoy our peas, and the wet paper towel method is what I've used pretty successfully last year. But also saying that, I'm not going to rush into sowing these or starting these off. It could be mid to late March. Just give me time to start them off because I'm a bit late on a few things. But also, I started them off all really early last year, and we had a really bad April and May. I think we did have a bad April and May, and the plants they just stopped growing, and there was no benefit sowing them and getting them going so early. And that's what we're going to look at again this year, looking at the weather forecast, the long range, just to gauge when to do those. I'm waffling away again, aren't I? That's getting quite full now, isn't it? Right, so next up, potatoes, first earlies. I've got mine chitting, and I'm going to start those, potting those up next week or later on this week. Then you've got second earlies mid-March and main crop, early crop. If you want to do them mid-March, I'm just going to do them very slowly, and just because I don't want all the space taken up in here or outside at the moment. Pumpkin squashes. Well, I'm not going to start the courgettes, they're April time, but the squashes, I may give those a go late March, just nicking out the tops of the seeds, and again using those on the wet paper towel method with heat as well. So they may get done at the same time as the leeks, so that's probably going to be late Marchish. And then radishes, well, I've got Diane radish, which I'm going to start. The French breakfast, I've got that in here just to fill in any of the gaps, and that's what I'm going to start using that quite heavily, because you can sow those indoors and outdoors. And rocket and spinach, well, I've got plenty of spinach there to go out. It looks worse for wear, and again, I don't know whether these are going to bolt. But we'll see how we go with those. I'm going to get those out later in this week, hopefully, or early next week. And if I do need do another sowing, then I'll be using the colza. And then we're on to sweet corn and turnips. Now I'm leaving out tomato because everybody's going to be sowing their tomatoes in March. It'll be the March madness of tomatoes. So I'm just completely leaving those as a separate subject. I've already started mine. So they're just popping up now. So sweet corn, still not picked my variety, which one I'm going to do. I've still got time. There's March, April and May, so hopefully I pick which one I'm going to have. I've got quite a few seeds I need to order, so that's what I'm going to do. The sweet corn and the red flow onion and whatever else I'm going to be tempted with. And then we've got turnip, where I've got sweet ball and snowball, and I'm going to be doing the sweet ball, and that's just going to be again a fill in around the beds. Right, and finally it's the flowers, and I've actually ordered quite a lot of new flowers, straw flowers, stocks, another one which I can't pronounce, also another aster. So I've got this China aster, which again I haven't yet sown, so I still need to sow that, but I've got February right way through to April, so that's going into the basket, which really is getting full now. And it's the same with the sweet peas, they're getting done hopefully in March, but I've still got for sweet peas right the way up to May, so if I miss March in some of these, it's not the end of the world. Right, it's been a bit of a disjointed one, this one. A, I've not done filming for a while, and B, due to various noises from other gardens. So like I always say, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you again.